Folks, our next guest, or really the first guest of the show that we'll be having today, is a screenwriter. He is a member of the WGE, the Writers Guild of America East Council. He's also basically the co-chair of the WGA's Task Force on Artificial Intelligence. We're very lucky to have him. Let's give a warm welcome to Larry J. Cohen, everybody. Larry J. Cohen. Larry, thank you so much for coming out. Let me get you a microphone. Let me get you a microphone. Here, have a seat, please. Thank you, Larry. How are you doing, sir? So, for the folks at home, what does being a WGA council member mean? Let's just get that out of the way.
So the Writers Guild of America covers all screenwriters for television and film. In the East, we also cover journalists. Mm-hmm. And our job is to make sure that everyone is getting the best deal possible on a level for their health insurance, their pension, making sure that these companies aren't trying to do terrible things to us. And so being on the council is about trying to stay ahead of these companies and protect our members as best as possible.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm a big believer in the belief of solidarity. Together. It's the only way that you can protect the workers, especially now in today's day and age. So you're a member of the you're the co-chair of the AI task force at the WGA. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is? What's your mission statement here? What do you guys do? What's the day-to-day look like in that?
Yeah, so we've been looking into AI. We had a strike, if you guys didn't hear, where we had to walk around in circles for many months until the studios decided that they wouldn't try to replace us with robots. And once they realized that they couldn't and we wouldn't let them, we formed this AI task force so we could further understand this very new technology, because ChatGPT just came on the scene. And we've really just been knocking on doors, asking questions. It was never coming from a place of like, oh, this technology is evil, but what we found out are that there's a lot of evil people, and that they're exploiting everyone, and they're trying to devalue all of our work, and force us to use this product for the rest of our lives, paying $20 for the rest of your life, no matter what. And so, for us, we wanted to understand not only the use part, but then the other part, which is, if you are integrating into your creative process, what is the output? And the output, what we really found out, and the thing I always wanted everyone to hear today, is that everything that these AI machines make is in the public domain. And so they're really not worth anything in comparison to a person who makes a work and copyrights it and then is able to protect it and monetize it in all the same ways. So, it was both understanding the technology, and then the other side was really understanding sort of the business implications for the health of our industry that we love.
100%, and I think you bring up a very valid point as well earlier, where you said that inherently, again, these technologies really are not evil. They can improve the quality of life for so many people with speaking disabilities, and just the way that we can make life so much more accessible with these tools is incredible. It's incomparable. But again, it's just a matter of getting those safeguards, those protections in, and making sure that those who are creating it with bad intentions can't affect the good work that can be done. So I think that's an incredibly commendable thing. You talked about the strikes. I'm not WGA, but I was there on the picket the picket lines. Really, I was working at late night with Seth Meyers at the time, and I was out there with Bays and a lot of those other guys. And it was an incredible moment of solidarity. I want to know if you could get into a little bit about what was really on the line there. I know you said obviously there was a chance that we got replaced by robots, but where do you think the nth degree of that could have been?
Well, I think that they didn't want to give up something that they didn't understand. I think that they really don't know what they're doing. I think they're so much less sophisticated than they seem. But I think that they go to these billionaire conferences. Sun Valley was the big one where Iger kind of opened his mouth and said the writers are asking for too much here. And they're told, oh, don't give up this technology. It's so valuable. No one is using this technology in Hollywood. Like, just to be really clear, like, it is not really part of any process right now for many reasons. One is it doesn't really work on a professional level. It's in the public domain, which is a massive liability, and it's also based on stolen information, massive amounts of stolen information. So they didn't want to give that up. And we felt like, I thought that was going to be the easiest thing to win of all the items on the strike. I was like, oh, we've been writing about robots for 100 years, how terrible they are. You know, maybe they have seen some of those movies and they would really sympathize with humanity. But that proved to be one of the biggest sticking points. And it showed their hand, because if they weren't willing to give that up, it meant that they were so dead set on making it a bigger deal down the road. And thankfully, you know, we met in a place where they now, it's shocking to say, a human being must be accredited with writing all scripted material in Hollywood.
It sounds almost dystopian, the fact that has to be in written language,
Yes.
but like, what is a writer? It's somebody who writes the thing, you know,
Yes.
that's the guy who gets the credit. But I'm glad that the negotiation team of the WGA was able to get that done. That's really important, and the work you're doing is as well. During the monologue, we also touched on the financial aspects of AI. It's a disaster, to make a long story short. It's not good. The industry itself is I'll say it likes to please itself with its own mouth, for lack of a better word. It costs a lot of money, and it's really, in terms of an ethical standpoint, there's really not a lot of shit about the training of it that makes sense. So I want to know, like, in terms of the financial implications for the WGA, what does it mean? What does it mean for writers when they have to compete, I guess, with this technology?
Yeah, I think there's a massive amount of capital that is being sucked up by these companies that would be going towards all kinds of media right now. And so I think we're feeling this belt tightening in all aspects of you know, storytelling and all different parts of our media, which is so frustrating. And we all know how the story is going to end. So I think that's one part of it. I think the other part is that you know, we're also battling a Ponzi scheme, essentially.
100%.
We often talk about, like, the underpants gnome problem. You know, they're saying if they can just get all these underpants, something will happen and there'll be profit. And so, you know, we have a fixed, you know, cost, like we need health, we need pension, we need all these things. And so they look at us and they're like, oh, that's so, you know, nostalgic. That's not how we were supposed to do things anymore. But then when they try, and believe me, they're trying right now. I think OpenAI is trying to make a film for Cannes in the spring.
Yeah.
But every time they try to do something, they pretty much fail.
Yeah.
In such a way, or they have to steal even more to succeed. So I feel like the financial side right now is that they're trying to devalue us in all kinds of ways. They're performing this magic trick in order to make it seem like they can fill a page very quickly. But when you go under the hood or you get closer to what it is, it's not valuable. Like you were talking about AI slop before. There's going to be, like, no one's going to remember that AI slop from their childhood. There's not going to be AI slop action figures.
I was going to say, my partner works in the elementary. Tra-la-lero, tra-la-la has had a hell of an impact on America's youth.
Sure. You know, it's just, I think our relationship to media is really important, and it helps shape so much of our world. And when it doesn't come from people, God help us all.
Yeah, I agree with that. And just a very brief question, and I have to let you go. I know you've been so generous with your time. AI, it really does feel inevitable. Something that we wanted to mention in the monologue that we kind of cut earlier was that it does require a lot of hand-holding to do things right. But as we continue to, you know, rely on it, I think that we as people are going to need some hand-holding from these machines as well. So do you have any advice on how people can kind of de-AI their own lives in the time being?
Yeah, I mean, I think rely more on people in your life. Use tactile ways of writing down your ideas. And I think coming to spaces like this is like literally the antidote. Like, you know, in the labor world, it's all about solidarity, but I think that translates to like every other aspect of community and society. And so literally just the more people can be around each other is literally the antidote. And especially when you're working on something that's creative, I think you get so much more from sharing it with another person than you ever will from trying to go 10 hours, you know, getting gaslit by ChatGPT or whatever. So I think people are always the answer.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Focus on that community, everybody. Guys, let's give it one more time up. Larry J. Cohen. Thank you for being so generous with your time.